In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Many of you know that I am a dog lover. In fact, I have as many photographs of our dog as I do of our grandchildren. They might be watching today. We'll see what they say about that. And we have a small dog named Cheyenne. She's a Shih Tzu, and she's amazing. But I want to begin today talking about two dogs that I had earlier in my life. Two big dogs. One of them was named Sadie, and she was a brindle Dutch Shepherd. And Sadie was the kind of dog that was always at my side. If I walked from one room to the other, Sadie was there. If I went to lie down, she was there. Whatever was happening, Sadie would be with me. So I called her my with dog. But I had another dog too, named Lucy. And Lucy was a lab chow mix, and she was a lost dog. She would scoot out the door anytime it was open just by a crack and disappear through the neighborhood. She would dig holes under the fence in order to run through the neighbors' yards. And the other dog, Sadie, would sit next to the hole. And she said, "There it is. I told her not to do it. She did it anyway. Look who's still here. Good dog, lost dog." One morning, I remember Lucy getting out when I was going to leave for a fishing trip at 4:30 in the morning and running amok through our neighborhood. The fishing trip never happened. Two very different dogs, but I love them both the same. At the end of the day, both of them slept at the foot of the bed. There are lots of lost dogs in the world. You may know there's a whole business of microchipping lost dogs, right? So that if your dog gets lost, they kind of scan it, like in the supermarket, and they can tell, here's where this dog belongs. Today we hear about two other lost objects or items, sheep and coins. And Jesus uses the metaphors of sheep and coins to talk about something that happens really to all of us, I think, from time to time: getting lost. Have you ever felt lost? Sometimes being lost and becoming found can be quite concrete. We might get ourselves lost as children in the mall or playing outside. Sometimes hikers, adults, get lost and need to be rescued. Very scary experience. But often being lost is a little less concrete in our lives and a little harder to discern. We can feel lost in certain periods of our life. Times when things just aren't right. Our work might seem meaningless. We might despair over a friendship gone sour, or a relationship ended, or we might mourn the passing of our youth or of our work life. Or we might mourn the passing of a loved one by death. And these small periods of feeling lost and afloat are pretty normal in our lives. But sometimes underneath all that, there's what I call a long-term lostness. We might struggle with meaninglessness or hopelessness. We might struggle with some addiction or another. We might be continually frustrated over trying to control things that we really can't control in our lives or in our world or in our relationships. We might be uneasy when we're alone or in silence. We might have a fear of being found out by those around us, whatever that might mean for each of us. We might go through life being afraid of seeming foolish or being out of the loop. We might simply feel lost, like something's missing, something's not connecting. How do we end up there? How do we get lost? If we stay close to these particular parables, we can see that often being lost is not a decision It's not a moral thing. We don't become lost because we're bad or broken. The sheep gets lost simply because it doesn't know any better. Sheep are really cute, but as I found out through my high-level research book on sheep, they're not necessarily very bright compared to some other animals. The sheep gets lost, like most of us, because it's trying to search for the good, but it may not always know what the good is. And when one decision gets compounded upon another decision, it ends up in the wrong pasture, and it's not exactly sure how it got there. I won't ask how many of us have had that experience, but I'll share with you that I have. One decision after another, all of a sudden, we're lost. The coin, on the other hand, the coin gets lost because it's mishandled by others. It's not treated as if it is of value. It's not cared for properly. This often is another way we end up lost. It's not our goal. It's not our intent. Nobody comes into the world saying, I want to be lost and disconnected. And I want to need to have the TV on to not be alone with my thoughts. None of us come into the world saying, I want to be outside the circle of who is considered okay. I want to be mistreated. I want to be less than. None of us come into the world with that agenda, but many of us find we end up there. Sometimes we might be lost inside, even if it looks like we're found on the outside. We may always have been the good boy or girl, the model parent or citizen or churchgoer. But we might feel lost too, and that's okay. How do we know, even if we're lost? It can become such a normal part of our experience to be disconnected, right? To be self-absorbed, to be sad, to be angry, to be fearful, to be resentful, that we don't even know that we're there. I think the key is joy. The Gospels are full of the promise of joy. And I think if we're not living in joy, there's something in us that's still lost, because joy is our birthright. This is hard news, right? Because most of us probably don't live in unconditional joy of being found all the time. But there's good news here, and the good news is this. As good as we are at getting lost, God is better at getting us found. Because these parables really aren't about us at all. They're about the nature of God. The shepherd searching for his sheep, the housewife sweeping for her coin. They're both stubborn and they're single-minded in their pursuit. They're all about finding, and they're not at all about blaming. These pictures, the shepherd and the housewife, show us a God that seeks for us, that calls for us, that longs for us. This is the God of everlasting, ever-seeking love. A love that sweeps and seeks and roams. A love that sticks the hand in the back of a drawer or shines the flashlight in the floorboard crack for the 5th time looking for the lost coin. A love that knows that it doesn't matter how dirty that coin has gotten or how many times that sheep has rolled on its back and can't get itself up again. That's a true fact. Their value does not change. Let me say that one more time. God's love knows that it doesn't matter how dirty our coin has gotten or how often we've landed on our backs and can't get ourselves back up. Our value cannot change. So if God is the one seeking and in love with us, what do we need to do? Well, on one hand, we don't need to do anything at all. But if we're done with the feeling of being lost, if we're done with living in quiet desperation, if we've decided that it's worth admitting being lost in humility in order to get found, if we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then there is something we can do. Like a lost sheep, like my lost dog Lucy, We can cry out. We can howl. We can own the fact that we are lost, aching and hoping to be found. We can cry out to God and be real and unguarded and vulnerable. We can cry out to each other and be real and unguarded and vulnerable. Today, on September 11th, we remember the unfortunate attacks that took place in several parts of our country. And I can remember I was teaching chemistry at the time, and the day after I had a big test I was supposed to give. And I stayed up that night thinking whether or not I was going to give this test on the 12th of September. And after hours and hours of tossing this around in prayer, I decided not to give that test. And instead I went in and talked with my students. We had a forum to give them a free space to express their feelings. And what was amazing is that, and this unfortunately changed over time, but what I heard that first day when they were vulnerable and open was not anger or thoughts of revenge or hatred. What was expressed was sorrow, sadness, vulnerability, uncertainty. When we can admit to those kinds of feelings in our heart, when we can admit that our lives in some place or another are unmanageable, when we can take off the muzzle that makes us appear to be a good dog, a quiet dog, and howl to God from the depths of our guts and our bones, "Find me, find me. Here I am. I'm lost." When we can do that, we will be found. Because at least as I read the Gospels, gritting our teeth alone in the barren pastures of this world, or hiding out in the floorboard cracks of our lives is not what God wants. That's not carrying our cross. That's simply remaining lost. And all the while, the divine seeker is calling for us, hoping for a glimpse, the slightest sound, some movement that can take us beyond our pride or our self-pity or our hopelessness, so that we can say we're lost and thus become found and be welcomed back into the fabric of the joy of life. In fact, the very parts of our lives that we thought were dead or shameful or impossible to be healed or hopeless are the very places where God is looking for us. My friends, we don't need to be afraid to be who we are. God loves us for who we are, the good, the bad, the light, the dark. God loves us for who we are. And at our best, we love each other for who we are too. If we live into that and take a risk on that, just like that, we can move from being a lost dog to being a with dog. God's joy with us, God's courage with us, God's faithfulness with us, in us, for the good of the world. Amen.